Today, we're speaking with Kenneth Lopes. He's a seasoned program manager with Canoga Perkins. He's a certified Scrum Master, and Canoga Perkins specializes in complex hardware, software, firmware, and cloud programs. Kenneth brings his expertise to major initiatives, most recently leading critical programs as a project manager for Canoga Perkins, managing WorkDone's implementation. In this capacity, has been instrumental in spearheading a company-wide agile implementation, driving innovation through rapid prototyping, from new product introduction to SDLC-driven delivery, including the integration of emerging technologies like generative AI into real-world products and services for a top-tier industry leader like Canoga Perkins. You're in charge of keeping the WorkDone implementation on track. What was the original scope of the WorkDone project, and how did it evolve during the engagement?
Great question, Joe. So upon our early beginnings, we scoped out to begin implementing an automation workflow when it came to our internal policies. And so we had policies scattered throughout HR, engineering teams, finance teams, you name it. And we really had no central hub of how to access that data. And so WorkDone was tapped to be that service that was able to almost unify and centralize all of our policies and procedures and enable us and our teams to access that data and that information in an efficient fashion. And so with that, scope started off pretty vague, as most scopes start. And we iterated, we worked with the HR team to understand what policies and procedures we had intact. We worked with Joe and the WorkDone team to create a centralized repository to house those policies and procedures, and connected the LLM to basically be able to ingest that documentation and train that model on our specific policies and procedures. As we continued with development, things changed, scope changed. As you know, scope creep is something that we're accustomed to with Agile. And so we had the whole engineering team looking at the work that was being done and saying, hey, how can we use this to improve our ability to find processes and procedures? And so we went ahead and added on scope. That included the add-on of the engineering policies and procedures, which are in line with our TL 9000 certification. And so that was another beast we needed to tackle, and understanding exactly what type of information to display with the LLM and what type of information would be useful. And so we started initially with the HR scope, crept into engineering, and was able to ultimately deliver a AI product for the entire organization that allows us to find information at a snap.
Fantastic. So what were your first impressions of WorkDone's onboarding and implementation process?
I thought WorkDone did a really good job being fast and iterative, just jumping right into the work and understanding who are the owners, where are the subject areas that we need to be focused on, and really working in an iterative fashion where each week we were able to see improvements when it came to the application we were building. Ultimately, onboarding was seamless, really easygoing, understood what the exact deliverables were, understood what the scope was, what budget we were working with. I thank WorkDone for their efforts in making that really concise and easy to understand.
How well did WorkDone integrate with the team?
Yeah, I think WorkDone did an amazing job bringing on board the team. I think understanding the dynamics between the teams and the leads that needed to be involved in this project and involving those individuals early on, I think was an instrumental part of being able to create that engagement and that fluid communication channel.
Any unexpected challenges or surprises during the implementation?
When I think about unexpected challenges, I'm thinking more in terms of the data quality with the type of data we were ingesting, as well as returning the type of responses that the user was looking for. So I think, with iteration, we were able to hone in and refine on the exact type of prompt and response that the user wanted to get at. And so I think the data quality was probably the main issue we were running into, as well as what were the exact user needs? What was the user looking to get at with the planning agent, and what step in the process was going to be most helpful for our internal purchasing and planning teams. By engaging in that actual feedback loop and involving people early on with the demos, these things were really helpful for us to close the gaps on the open issues we had.
How quickly did your team begin to see value from WorkDone's automation and insights?
Personally, immediately, from what I had saw with the documentation team, with even the program management team, I think with us being focused on an entire program, we're not so bogged down into the details as far as processes and procedures go. And so for us being able to click on a prompt and type in, what does it mean to ship a product, and have step-by-step layout be returned to us, that was extremely helpful for us because we knew exactly which stakeholders to actually go to get answers and responses, as well as the mechanical team. Sometimes they say, hey, what does our review cycle look like? And, typing that information, that question in to the prompt really helped us return that information or that response to the team in an efficient manner.
What kind of feedback have you heard from the frontline users using WorkDone?
Feedback has been great. A lot of individuals are finding a lot of use in the actual corporate memory. The planning agent with the buying team, they're finding it really useful for the ability to update our really vintage ERP systems. And so we're able to not only pull data from aggregator sites and present that information in a digestible fashion to our buyer team, but they're able to push that data back out to our ERP system. So it's going to make their lives a lot easier. They're going to be able to be more efficient, more productive with the time that they have using the planning application.
How has WorkDone helped reduce complexity or friction in day-to-day operations?
So with reducing complexity in day-to-day operations, we've reduced the actual amount of steps that needs to be taken to get to an end result. So for example, when looking up a policy or procedure, instead of pulling up a policy, looking through maybe 30, 20 pages of documentation, we're able to get that information in a concise manner. And so this allows us to move at speed, as well as be able to deliver the information the team needs and cut the complexity or the noise.
Can you describe a moment where WorkDone surfaced a workflow pattern or a data point that was truly eye-opening?
For myself, when WorkDone introduced the idea of the item refresh planning agent, I think this was a great idea because when I had initially looked over the scope and I saw planning agent, I didn't think of a process where we'd be able to have a human in the middle to review the actual documents or review the actual data coming in. It's really eye-opening because you can automate a lot of these processes and have agents running in the background, but allowing that human in the middle, that UI interface allows for a little more of a personal touch, a little more of controls when it comes to actually making sure that the data being pushed to the ERP system is the data that we want pushed. Introducing that feature was really instrumental. I think really opened my eyes as to what possibilities WorkDone could bring to the team.
With regards to possibilities, what business outcomes have you seen so far, whether in time saved, error reduction, or decision-making?
Yeah, I think quicker decision-making process, less consistent errors, and more factual data being presented. A lot of times we're working with data and that's subject to human error. A system that's able to provide us data that is actionable is really important and super helpful for all cross-functional teams.
If you could expand WorkDone's capabilities to another part of the business, where would you start and why?
We're in a room with a few marketing folks, and I think about being able to use Gen AI to create new content. And I know there's many instances, for example, we have launches coming up where we need new marketing collateral. And so I think it's really helpful for the possibility of introducing generative AI, utilizing our branding assets to spit out new images, new logos. And that way they can make our marketing process more efficient, more robust. And I think speaking for the entire team, it could take a little bit of load off team's bandwidth.